first of all, from Tosa Sensei's talk, we learned that combining today's cutting-edge technology and the traditional beauty can create new artwork, which really moves us. And what Zhao Sensei presented can be considered in line with what Tosa Sensei has been doing, in the sense that he tried to explore the possibility of producing new art using one of the contemporary cutting-edge technology, which is AI. But however, I think what Zhao Sensei presented can be regarded something more than simply creating art and artists, because the question, can AI really create an artwork, also invoke even wider and more fundamental questions like whether AI or any non-human entities can create things like values, and meanings, and emotions, all attributed to humans so far. But things may change because of the emergence of new AI technology. So first of all, I'd like to ask Tosa Sensei about what do you think about the possibility of AI creating art by itself? So what do you think?
I am very happy to using AI. Yeah, because I am my area is art and technology.
Yep.
So, and but very difficult things is good creative AI. Good creative AI, okay? Yeah, I saw many bad creative AI.
Right. Have you seen a good one?
For example, Google make a student dream AI, it's like a bad dream, But I think, in the future, not the future, AI, it's like a tool. In the future of the Photoshop, maybe AI, something AI curve or AI color or effect of the Picasso or effect of the Goho like this.
Right.
So, and then this kind of things is maybe very interesting because expanded of the creativity.
Yep.
That's why. But I think maybe why I, watching very focusing to the nature now, because of course I also working of the from computer graphics to the interactive art almost 20 years before invisible nature, but not so much interesting. Computer is a kind of a black box in a kind of interface. Maybe very interesting things is outside of the computer. Nature also many things. Even now we don't know many things. That's why I also very respect of the nature. And also, very. When I shooting by high-speed camera, I found many things, many new type of the beauty, and that's why maybe this kind of things, come from nature. Because tsunami also, what I should say, without 想定外. It means without thinking, coming from nature.
Yep.
That's why, I am very interesting. But I think maybe most key point is how to teaching to computer.
How to teach,
Yes.
to train the computer.
Yes.
Right.
Because I also, almost 20 years ago, the first, AI waves came to the 1993. And the other time that neural network also very, like that kind of, tsunami, first tsunami.
Yeah.
And then I started the emotional recognitions. But after that, tsunami is gone. And second tsunami coming now. deep learning. So it's mean the very seriously thinking way. Maybe we need something more, not enough to the only deep learning.
Right, I see. Yeah, but I think that reminds me of the fact that the case of AlphaGo Zero, which was not trained. It trained itself from the very beginning, the Go. So I think for example, the good collaboration between Tosa Sensei and AI certainly will be very much creative. But I'd like to ask actually Zhao Sensei, is it possible that AI trained by itself to be really creative?
So it's hard to say. I think so. We by the definition, we think creativity is must have some valuable thing, and how to evaluate the value, I think is done by human. So we have to train the AI first. We have to train AI by some human-defined value. But unlike AlphaZero, the AlphaZero can play from zero because the game of Go is very clear. So there's no human factor in the game.
I think there is two very interesting things in your discussion. I mean, the whole natural computing thing, like a wave computes itself, right? Just like a soap bubble computes the minimal surface by itself, and it almost costs nothing. Our brain has 20 watts. And now AlphaGo Zero uses half of the Hoover Dam for like 3 days or something to play Go, which is obviously not the approach to play Go. So the key question is, how much are we, and I use this word on purpose, how much are we hysteric about what's going on right now? And let me give you an example. If you ask 20 specialists in machine learning, what do you predict when basically this will happen? And then you get this kind of wildly different curves, and you get some average out of it. That's the wisdom of crowds, of a very, very small crowd that perfectly knows each other since 30 years, right? Which means the wisdom of crowds probably breaks down because there is feedback, right? So the key thing is we don't know. There may be another development like AlphaGo Zero in many, many other areas. But if somebody uses, say, face recognition in tiny drones with little guns, it's still human stupidity and not the takeover of artificial intelligence that leads to atrocity. And I think that's the key thing we need to discuss. Artificial intelligence will not take over the world because computers rise and are intelligent and take over. It's because evil humans use it to do evil. And I think that is something which we need to discuss if you want to actually think about like what's the impact on society.
Yeah, so you are pointing out an important part in using AI, to who use the AI. And so far, I couldn't see any threat of AI now, because would AI have to take effect by human? It is the responsibility of the user of AI. But, so we are trying to develop automatic AI, which can do everything without the infection of human. So that might be the problem. Yeah, so maybe in the future, for example, consider the example of out-driving the car. So if we want the car driving AI to become as intelligent as a human, we will have to let it consider the situation by itself. And in that case, it will have to decide in case of car accident, who should I save? And in that case, so if we leave everything to the AI, it might choose something which are not programmed before. So there's no evil. People use this AI. It just decide by itself. And I think this problem, we call it control problem. So this control problem should be the key point in the future development of AI.
I think this is very universal problem, not only regarding AI, but universal problem for all technology and sciences. How to manage and how to choose a way of utilization of these technologies, and we have to keep discussing on that. But since time is limiting, I just in order to make a connection between with the previous sections, I just want to move the discussion session theme to the interplay with the traditional culture. And one thing the Tosa sensei wrote in your abstract but did not explicitly mention in your talk is that traditional artwork had been using contemporary cutting-edge technology always. So can you briefly mention about the example of the traditional art still using the cutting-edge technology?
Okay. One very famous one is pyramid.
Oh, very old. Okay.
Yes. But at that time, cutting edge technology, I believe. And maybe Asia, our country have a big Buddha in Nara, like this. That one also, at that time, very cutting edge technology. That's why, I think, my policy is, why make art using a cutting edge technology? Because at that time, same areas, technology and creativity, it's like a set. And then make a history. That's why. This is my answer.
I think this is also true for the, you mentioned pyramid, but so this is also true for the architecture, which we learned from Kawai sensei and Miyagi sensei in previous section. So probably Kawai sensei or Miyagi sensei, can you briefly mention about the, what sort of the contemporary new technologies being used in
my talk or my answer or my comment is directly related to your question, but just look at both of your presentation. Until I saw your presentation, I thought AI would be much more applicable to the design instead of art. But now my idea is completely changed, because AI could be an artist, right?
Believe, no?
Yeah, so that's right. But in the case of design, we always have client. Without client, design profession doesn't exist always. So that the interrelationship between the client and the designer who provides service. So that kind of probably the quality of, not quality, but actually the meaning of service would be quite different, when we use AI to the design field. But in the case of, the art, it's just emotional. Or if AI can have the emotional expression of something inside, right? If AI could run, and throughout the deep learning, if they obtain the kind of things, probably AI could be very, very interesting. So in that case, probably no human artist would be necessary, and there is no meaning to compare the art created by the human and art created by the AI.
Yeah, right. I think so. Yeah.
So I've been a design professional for a long time, and recently I have to, I realize that we have to think about it anyway. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for your comment.
Okay, first from back, yes.
I have the pleasure and the honor to be a very old friend of Professor Tosa from MIT. We were together there, and I am very pleased to see the progress of your work, Naoko. Bravo, very good. But for the question of AI, I believe we have to see, not with fear, but with love, as you say, the AI, because it's a tool. We are not afraid of a tool. The tool has no imagination. If you give them imagination, you can create probably emotions, but it's not, you cannot create the creator. So you create a robot or you create algorithms, but you have not to be afraid of a tool. And probably the AI will create a paradise for us. What about the free time that humans they will have thanks to AI? How about artists that they will become all these people that they are now workers? So if you are a worker, you are afraid of the AI. But if you are a human, you are not afraid of the AI, I believe. Thank you very much.
Any comment, Tosa sensei?
Thank you very much for the interesting comment, Yanis. So I also agree with you because we are art and technology professional usually think about half brain is logic and half brain is emotional, but not only emotional. We are not like a sculptor, like a oil painter. That's why we are usually based on the logic and then make some creativity. That's why we are very interested about working with AI.
Thank you. Dr. Crowley, you make a comment?
If there's time.
Surely we'd like to have your comment. Yes.
Thank you. What interests me the most about this discussion, because I'm not an expert on AI at all, is the extent to which it's invested by a combination of desire and fear. And the desire is ultimately the desire to produce ourselves, to be self-creating, literally. It's a very strange desire. As someone pointed out many years ago, if you really want to create beings as intelligent as humans, well, we have a very simple and rather pleasant way of doing that, don't we? Creating beings as intelligent as humans. Sure. Exactly. It's called sex.
Sure.
So the point is not to create beings as intelligent as humans. The point has to be something else. The point is some combination, first, of understanding ourselves, and secondly, bringing something radically new into the world. And that's why there is this combination of desire and fear. The fear that once we brought something new into the world, it will escape us. And indeed, we're now in a kind of second generation of AI, where the objective of modeling the human brain has been largely abandoned in favor of alternative approaches which model, in fact, something else and create something with the capacity to model itself, which may not have any of the functionalities or functional organization of the human brain, but will have some of the output capacities and processing capacities. One of the reasons, as you explained, being that the symbolic endpoint of the first generation was chess. Once Deep Blue could beat Kasparov, it looked like a massive achievement, and in fact turned out to be a dead end, because it wasn't a model for how AI could progress further, because it depended on human programming. And the approach to Go turned out to be different. It was not a human programming approach, but a machine learning approach, based on trial and error, based on simulation, based on neural networks. And this creates the opportunity of something much more powerful, but also something that will not look like human intelligence at all, which raises the question first, whether it might displace us, and the answer has to be, obviously it depends on what time frame. If we're talking 15 years, no. But if we're talking a much longer term, then undoubtedly, potentially, yes. And secondly, whether we will even be able to interact with something radically different from ourselves. There was a very interesting article a few weeks ago in the London Review of Books about the octopus. The octopus is a very intelligent animal that has a brain that doesn't resemble the human brain at all in its anatomy, and seemingly not in its physiology either. And the author, who knows much more about octopuses than I do, says that the octopus is the closest analog on Earth to alien intelligence. We don't really try to spend much time interacting with octopuses because until very recently we didn't realize how clever they are. But the challenge of relating to something radically different is actually the kind of challenge we will probably end up facing. Two final comments. First, whether AI will really free us and create a kind of Marxian age of abundance, maybe yes, maybe no. In George Orwell's 1984, Julia, for those who've read the novel, you will remember how important Julia is as a character, works in the fiction department maintaining novel writing machines. Novel writing machines. Now, of course, they write novels that are deliberately of low quality, but still, novel writing machines. This was written in 1948. The whole point of 1984, if you remember the theory embedded into the novel, is that the dictatorship of the party is a way of making sure that the fruits of the machine are not shared by the population. There is no guarantee that the fruits of artificial intelligence will be equitably shared. I don't think we can assume that the potential leisure time and prosperity of artificial intelligence will necessarily produce a society in which all of that is shared, and certainly not equitably shared. And the second point I've managed to forget by going on too long about the first point, so forget it. I'm sure it was extremely interesting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You have a comment?
Okay. So, in fact, when I, in 1985, almost 1990, I found ELIZA, ELIZA machine, talking to the, people, kind of, first day of the AI, and then I am thinking very interested about emotional recognition by AI, but very harder to recognize of the emotion, because our emotion is very changing, depending on the situation and depending on the history and depending on the culture, and especially love is very different of the country, and then I'm stopped it. Then I try to the different way, and I think now maybe more using emotional recognition studies, maybe we are more cooperate with AI with brain science. Yeah, I think brain, because I also interested about sometimes people looking at a picture very good for example art like a Mona Lisa or something, and then people very feel to the peaceful or something, but when people are watching to the Picasso, like very harder to understand one, and why people such kind of feels feel they have, and then that kind of people, and then brain science and then art triangle is maybe important things of the research. How feel?
Right,
yeah.
right, exactly.
The second point, sorry, was specifically for Professor Zhao. It was just a small question. You had an equation, creativity equals knowledge plus randomization. What about dialogue, conversation, and exchange? Can we really imagine creativity in the absence of a community of creativity? That was the second question.
Yeah, it's a nice question. I never thought of
I think it's extremely important question. So I hope Zhao Sensei prepare your answer during the coffee break because we are already well behind the schedule. So I think we have very nice discussion in this session, and we have to continue that discussion in a roundtable discussion after the coffee break. So first, let us thank the two speakers of this session.